So we came to this cabinet and then we summoned as a group, Multaka, we saw the word mellophone. So as I was walking past and I said, no, I know this object. What is a mellophone? I mean, maybe it's a Latin word to define different music, with instruments that play that kind of, sound. So I said, but then I walked closer to it and I looked and I said, one, it's being defined from a country called Rhodesia. That country doesn't exist anymore as far as I'm concerned. So what is Rhodesia? And then even the very same people that I was with as well, when I asked them, what is this instrument? They said, it's a thumb piano. What is a thumb piano? This instrument is called Mbira. It's called Mbira. That's from where we come from. Mbira is the instrument from a country called Zimbabwe, not Rhodesia. But this is a misnomer because now you're still having the name Rhodesia. Hence, the country gained independence in 1980 from the former colonial masters, which were the British. So even for me to look at that here when I come to the museum to be informed, to be educated, and we're still having the same kind of narratives and the same kind of naming. So that's when it started me on my journey about how some of these objects in the museums, I think maybe they need to be redressed and given their proper context and their proper meaning vis-a-vis how they were. And then from there, then we need to go back and look at the history of why they called these names and why they called them those names. Mbira is the musical instrument of Zimbabwe. When you talk about Zimbabwe, you talk about Mbira. He is part of the culture of the Shona people. So when you talk about the Shona, you talk about the Mbira. The Mbira is a music instrument that was played. The first written documents of it was in the 16th century, but they predated even longer than that. Zimbabwe is predominantly a country where you have the Shona people as the biggest population there. But you also have the Ndebeles, who live, we call them Matebele, who live in Bulawayo. You also have the Kalangas, you also have the Manyikas. The Mbira, before Zimbabwe was colonized, it was an instrument that was used as there's different forms how the Mbira was used. The Mbira was used just on a day-to-day basis. When maybe there was a wedding, people played the Mbira. The Mbira was also used when there was a funeral, they played the Mbira. When there was a harvest, the rain dances, they played the Mbira. And it also played a very important part when it comes to the spiritual aspect of the Shona people or the Zimbabwean people. When I say this, I mean that we used to believe in our spirits. So our spirits, we had a traditional healer who was the interceder between us mere people and the gods. So we used to have people who played the Mbira, they're called Mbira. So Mbira, they go there and then they play this instrument, and then the healers, they get possessed by their great-great-grandparents. And then they see us, they see into the future. They also have the powers of healing. But what happened then within that time when Christianity came? They said, no, this Mbira is devil worship. You cannot play the Mbira. because you're now Christians. So this is a bad instrument. You can play. The reason being, for you to control the people, first of all, you have to strip them of their history, and then you mold them into who you want them to be. So basically, this instrument was now looked upon even by some of our own people in that manner that this is devil. But the only way to go to God or to Multaka-Oxford or our spirits, which you didn't believe now, because Multaka-Oxford is a Shona word to say God. He's the one who created the heavens and the earth. But that stopped because now for you to talk to your God, you have to go through Jesus. So most of the people, of the Shona people, then they were also baptized, given English names. So when that happened, basically, people sort of were forced to forget their own history. They were forced to forget the essence of Ubuntu, the essence of what made them. This is who we were for thousands of years before we even made contact with the white man. So hence, when that happened, the Mbira for a while, it went sort of like, it went sort of like underground, because it was now played by the people who lived in the villages, who still wanted to maintain and respect what made us as black people within Zimbabwe, what made them as Shona in Zimbabwe. Then after a while, we had the War of Liberation in Zimbabwe, when people were trying to fight, or actually we fought, or they fought to get back their land. They also fought to be treated as equal in their own country. So when they took to war, they were called guerrillas. Within them being guerrillas, Mbira took a resurgence. So now it was this instrument, this little instrument, that became one of the rallying points as well, because people were playing the Mbira to say, we want to connect with our ancestors. Our ancestors, this is our land. We need our land. And when you play this, they used to play the Mbiras the whole night, and then they were connecting people who were getting into a trance, and they were getting the source of power to say, we're going to fight it, we're going to get our land back. Yeah. And then when they were playing this, then that's when you heard what is called Mbira Zimurenga, which means Mbira for war. So it was played as Mbira Zimurenga for war. And it was not really, it was frowned upon by the former colonial masters. Because this gave us pride. This reminded us of who we were. We were proud people. We had our own history. We had our own life before this has been put upon us. So with the Mbira, as you can see, these little bits here, they're called resonators. So when you pluck, they vibrate. Yeah. And also you look, some of them, the older ones, they have like shells that they put there so that when you pluck, they resonate. And then for it, usually it comes with also a calabash around, which is called a daisy. So you put this inside the daisy. The daisy, it helps amplify the sound more. So I thought that I need to put that in. I mean, because if you look at it differently, when it's actually the bow, when it's being played, this you don't see. All you just see is a person with his head like this. Yeah, but with the daisy around him. So and then he's just plucking away. So even when somebody asks me like, how would you feel when you see the Mbira in a cabinet like this? It's beautiful to share history. But it needs to be given that reverence, it needs to be given that respect that it deserves. Because it's not just a small thing that you just chuck in there. This has got a story to tell. It's a story for the people. It's my story. His story, her story. The story is still untold, but a story that needs to be told. So hence, when we have it in the museum, it needs to be spoken so people understand. So when they walk away, they can also become storytellers themselves. They'll bring their own families to say, this is a country called Zimbabwe. And this is the history before and the history after. And the story that's now what Mbira is and what it represents for the Shona people, the Zimbabwean people.